Where is your brother Abel?
In a field still hazy from the altar's smoke, Cain stood over Abel's body, his hands stained with blood, the first murder. And it had happened between two brothers who, just hours earlier, had been side by side. To understand how it came to this, we must go back to the morning of that same day. Cain, the farmer, placed on his altar some of the fruits of the soil, the leftovers. The ordinary, Abel, the shepherd, brought fat portions from the firstborn of his flock, the best and the first. The smoke from Abel's altar rose in a perfect column, straight to heaven. God had accepted his offering. But on Cain and his offering, God did not look with favor. The smoke from his altar scattered sideways, rejected.
Number, this is wrong. I worked the ground. I gave my offering. Why does he reject me?
Jealousy twisted inside him, darker than any harvest. And it was only a matter of time before it consumed him.
Abel gets everything. The favor, the blessing. And I get nothing but dust.
But before Cain's fury could cool, the voice of God broke through his bitterness.
Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do well, will you not be accepted? Sin is crouching at your door. You must rule over it.
The door was Cain's own heart, and the beast was ready to devour him.
I won't be lectured. Not by God. Not when Abel stands there so perfect. Brother, let's go out to the field. Just you and me. Of course. I was just about to check on the sheep.
The warning echoed in his mind, but his feet kept walking toward the appointed place. The field lay quiet, far from their parents' tent. And Cain knew why he had chosen it. Cain brought some of his harvest, the spare, the extra. No sacrifice, only obligation. Abel brought the firstborn, and the fat, the best he had, offered with a heart of faith. So when the flames consumed Abel's offering, they only licked at Cain's, leaving it rejected. Fire from heaven descended on Abel's lamb, a visible sign of divine acceptance. Deep in Cain, the heart that should have burned with worship had already turned to stone. But Abel's heart was alive, glowing with a faith that pleased God long before the smoke rose. And now, in the hush of the field, the two brothers walked, one with a stone in his chest, the other unsuspecting. Cain chose that field deliberately, far from witnesses, far from mercy.
Just a few more steps, and the world will know who God should have chosen.
The ground beneath them was about to receive a cry that would echo through eternity.
The flock would love it here. The pasture is greener than any I've seen.
Green enough to cover what comes next. Do it. Don't think.
Cain's hand closed around a sharp stone. He didn't hesitate. The first blow struck Abel's head. He crumpled without a word.
Brother, what have I done? The blood. It won't stop.
The silence that followed was unnatural. No birds, no wind, only a brother's breath shaking.
Hide it. The earth will cover everything. No one has to know.
He dragged Abel's body to a hollow in the ground and pushed dirt over it, frantic.
It's done. Now I am the firstborn. The field is mine.
But deep in the soil, a voice was already rising, the voice of blood crying to God.
Where is your brother Abel?
The beam swept over the ground, finding the shallow grave. The earth was still loose.
I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?
What have you done? Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are cursed from the ground. When you till it, it shall no longer yield its strength.
My punishment is more than I can bear. You drive me from the land today. Whoever finds me will kill me. I will be a fugitive and a wanderer.
He had once hidden blood in the soil. Now he feared his own would be spilled next. The curse had fallen. The ground would no longer serve the man who had defiled it.
There is no escape now. I am marked before they even touch me.
But even in judgment, God's mercy was not finished.
Therefore, whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold.
And the Lord put a mark on Cain, so that no one who found him would kill him. The mark did not broadcast his guilt. It shielded his life.
He spared me after what I did.
Then Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, east of Eden. The name Nod means wandering, and so his restless journey began. Behind him, the field still bore the stain, and ahead, only unknown wilderness.
No home, no harvest, only the mark in the dust.
The first murderer became the first wanderer, a living monument to both human sin and divine forbearance. In the land of Nod, Cain's wife bore him a son. He named him Enoch.
I will build a city. This child will inherit what I never could.
He laid a cornerstone, forcing the cursed ground to support his ambition. Brick by brick, the first city rose, a murderer's hands shaping a monument.
They will call it Enoch. They will forget the name of Abel.
But the mark on his forehead remained, a silent witness to every passerby. The city grew, filled with life and labor, yet at its heart lay a hollowness no wall could fill. Cain grew old, walking streets he had built, always sensing a question in the wind.
Even here, the blood cries. I can still hear it beneath the stone.
The first murderer became the first city builder. Human civilization rose from a brother's blood, but Cain's line did not stop with his city. His descendants multiplied and shaped the world. Tubal-Cain forged tools of bronze and iron, turning metal into blades that would spill more blood. His brother Jubal invented the harp and flute, but the music was not of worship, only distraction and proud noise. Then came Lamech, more violent than Cain. He boasted to his wives, "I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me." If Cain's mark promised sevenfold protection, Lamech claimed vengeance 77-fold. But not all of Adam's seed followed Cain's path. To replace Abel, God gave Seth. Seth's descendants called upon the name of the Lord. They turned from violence to worship. 2 families, 2 destinies. One building cities on blood, the other building altars to God. The murder in the field had not ended with Abel. It echoed through generations, growing louder. The question remained, why would a just God allow this first murder to happen at all? The answer lies not in God's weakness, but in the terrifying gift of human freedom. From the first step toward the field, Cain was allowed to choose, and the world was allowed to witness the cost. Without freedom, love is meaningless. Without the possibility of rejection, obedience is only machinery. So God allowed the murder, and then he allowed the story to be written, a permanent warning and an invitation. The blood of Abel cried out, not because God was absent, but because he was listening. The tapestry of history shows that even the first murder was not beyond God's redemptive reach. Even in the desert of sin, a flower could bloom, a fragile promise that death would not have the final word. The mark on Cain was not just protection, it was a declaration that vengeance belongs to God alone. From that day, humanity diverged. One line building cities on power, the other building altars to grace. The question, why did God allow it, echoes into our own lives, because the same invitation still stands. Thousands of years later, the question still hovers over every city street. Every person looking in a mirror faces the same choice. Am I my brother's keeper? But the blood of Abel pointed toward a greater sacrifice, a brother who would lay down his life. The soil still testifies that violence leaves a wound only divine love can heal. Yet in the desert of our failures, a fragile flower blooms, a promise that death does not win. The same hand that marked Cain reaches toward us, offering mercy after every fall. Before the field, there were 2 boys playing. Innocence lost, but not forgotten. The first murder shook the cosmos, but the heavens still declared a plan of redemption. The field where Abel died now lies silent, but its echoes call us to a different way. Where is your brother? The answer awaits in every human heart, but the question of why leads us back, not just to the field, but to the garden where the first whisper slithered into the world. The same serpent who twisted truth in Eve's ear now crouched at Cain's door, waiting for the moment he would open it. That crouching sin was not a mere impulse. It was the ancient enemy, the father of lies, who had already tasted the fruit of human rebellion. When Cain turned from God's warning, he aligned himself with a rebellion that had begun before the ground was cursed. The murder in the field was not only a family tragedy, it was the serpent's first strike in a hidden war against the promised seed. Abel's blood cried out for justice, But it also cried for a champion, one who would crush the serpent's head at the cost of his own heel. The mark on Cain was God's boundary, a declaration that the serpent did not own the earth, and divine mercy still held the chessboard. Thus the question, "Am I my brother's keeper?" became the serpent's anthem, whispered into every generation that chose the way of Cain. The cities, the forges, the boasts, all monuments to a lie that man could build without being his brother's keeper. But in Seth's line, a quiet hope persisted, the promise that a true brother would come to break the serpent's hold forever. The war did not start in the field with stones and blood. It began with a whispered promise: "You will be like God." When Adam fell, the entire creation was fractured. The serpent thought he had won, but God made a counter-declaration. To the serpent, God said, "I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your seed and her seed." The woman's seed would crush the serpent's head, though not without cost. The promise hung over every generation. Cain's offering was rejected because his heart was already serpent soil, while Abel's faith aligned with the seed of hope. So, when Cain killed Abel, the serpent aimed to sever the promised line. If the righteous seed was destroyed, the prophecy would fail, but God gave Seth a new branch from the same root. The serpent's victory was undone before the soil settled on Abel's grave. Seth's line called on the Lord, preserving the promise like a flame in a hurricane. The real battle was never about property or pride. The murder in the field was a skirmish in a cosmic war, a war that still rages in every human heart. And now, the question becomes not just, "Am I my keeper?" but "Whose seed do I bear in my choices?" The choice of which seed to bear is not locked in ancient history. It unfolds again every hour, in every chest where jealousy knocks. A heart calcified by resentment cannot offer true worship. It reenacts Cain's tragedy, turning altars into graveyards. The serpent's ancient whisper is unchanged: "You deserve what they have. Take it. God is holding out." But the woman's seed carved a different path, a narrow road of trust, where the firstborn is offered, not grasped. The mark on Cain was God's mercy, but it was not transformation. It protected the wanderer without healing the wanderer's heart. For the heart of stone to be replaced by a heart of flesh, a greater sacrifice was required, one that Abel's lamb only hinted at. Every murder begins in a thought unchecked, a grudge watered. The seed of the serpent is planted long before the stone is lifted. God's question was not a demand for information. It was a door left open for repentance that Cain slammed shut with his defiance. Today, the same voice echoes over every wounded relationship. Where is your brother? It waits for an honest answer. We are writing our own chapter in this ancient story. The seed we cultivate will determine not just our destiny, but the world's. At the door of your own heart, sin crouches, just as it did for Cain. The beast has not aged a day.
Where is your brother, whose blood cries out to me from the ground of your indifference?
Two roads stretch before you. One is wide, loud, and crowded with the footsteps of those who refuse to be their brother's keeper. The other is narrow, quiet, and marked by the blood of a brother who laid down his life for those who hated him. The serpent still hisses. Your life is your own. Protect it at any cost. But that path leads to a field of bones. But the true brother speaks. Greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. Look at Cain's hands. They are your hands when you choose jealousy over mercy, power over presence. Yet the same mark that protected Cain is extended to you now, a seal that says, "This one belongs to mercy." Look in the mirror. The face you see carries the same question God has asked since the beginning. The stylus is in your hand. The story is not finished. Choose which seed will bear fruit in your life. A promotion slips away. A relationship fractures. The serpent whispers the same ancient logic. They took what was yours. Take it back.
They don't know what I've given. They don't see the unfairness. I am owed this.
The logic is as old as Eden. If God won't give you what you deserve, take it yourself. But the path leads to a field of regrets.
Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground of your own bitterness, but I offer you a different door.
Another way exists, a narrow road of trust, where the firstborn is offered, not stolen, where the heart is laid bare before God. It cost Abel everything, but his blood did not cry for revenge. It cried for redemption, and heaven heard him. Before you, two outcomes, a field of bones or a garden of grace. The choice is made in this moment, in the quiet of your will. The stone is in your hand. The field is waiting. Whose voice will you obey?
Come to me, you who are weary and burdened by jealousy and rage. I will give you a new heart and a new name.
The stylus is still in your hand. The stone, too. One must be released. The story waits for your line. Cain once stood where you stand now, in the quiet before the irreversible, the stone heavy in his palm.
If I don't strike first, I'll always be less. I'll always be the one God ignored. I have to prove them wrong.
The logic of the serpent is airtight until you feel the warmth of the first blood on your fingers and the coldness of the grave.
Lay the stone down. I will lift you up. The field does not have to receive another cry tonight.
This is the moment that divides the two lineages, not the act itself, but the turning of the heart or its calcification. If you drop the stone, you join the line of Seth, the line of grace, the line of grace, the line of the promised brother who crushes the serpent. If you tighten your grip, you write your name next to Lamech's, and the cycle of vengeance spins on, 77-fold.
My whole life has been leading to this. Can I really stop now? Who would I be if I let go?
The ground is still listening. The seed you plant in this silence will grow a garden or a grave for generations to come. The stone is in your hand. The stylus is in the other. One word will carve the verdict. What will it be? The choice hung in the air like smoke from the rejected altar, heavy, suffocating.
Why should I be the only one to suffer? Abel never had to fight for anything.
One path meant laying down the stone and trusting, but trust had always felt like a trap to Cain.
Cain, son of Adam, my mercy is wider than your rage. You don't have to become the first murderer.
You already rejected me. My offering wasn't enough. Nothing I do will ever be enough.
The serpent coiled tighter around his thoughts, hissing that surrender was suicide.
But if I strike, I lose Abel forever. He's my brother. Can I really do this?
The field was silent, but the heavens leaned in. The angels watched, breathless.
My son, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Lay down the stone and come home.
And in that brittle silence, Cain's fingers tightened, but we do not yet know which way he turned. A stone fell. It was a swift, brutal arc that ended in Abel's blood and the first murder the world had ever seen. Abel lay motionless on the cracked earth, his shepherd's wool now crimson, his voice silenced.
Where is your brother Abel?
The voice echoed, not just over the field, but through every century that would follow. And though Cain was cursed and sent wandering, God set a mark on him, a barrier of mercy that no one would dare cross. The mark did not erase his crime, but it proclaimed that even a murderer was not beyond the edge of grace. He walked into the land of Nod, the land of wandering, bearing the mark that protected him, while his heart remained unchanged. But the question still stands. Will you follow Cain's footsteps into the dark, or take the narrow road where the stone is left for a cross? Abel's blood cried for justice, but another brother's blood would cry for mercy, a better word than the blood of Abel. The story is finished. The grain has fallen into the earth. Now it waits to see what harvest you will choose. The harvest has already begun in your life. Every act of jealousy is a seed of Cain. Every act of mercy, a seed of Seth. Look again at the field. It is not just a place in ancient history. It is the space between you and the ones you struggle to love. God's question still hangs in the air, not for Cain alone, but for every person who has ever held a stone in their hand. The answer you give will shape not only your soul, but the souls of those who watch your steps. Will you be the keeper who guards his brother's life, or the builder of cities soaked in blood? The same hands that once held the stone can hold the stylus and write a new story. The true brother, Jesus, laid down his life so that the serpent's head would be crushed and the curse broken. He did not come to condemn, but to become the answer to Abel's cry, a sacrifice that speaks a better word. The field is now silent, but the invitation is loud. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your heart. The stone can be left forever. The tomb is empty. The new creation has begun. The first murder exposed the deepest truth. Left to ourselves, we choose the stone, but God chose a tree, a cross that would absorb the curse. Where is your brother? The true answer is found not in our ability to protect, but in a brother who laid down his life to become our keeper. The mark on Cain was a shadow of a greater seal, the Holy Spirit given to all who trust in the sacrifice of God's own Son. Look again at your own face. Do you see only Cain's anger, or have you begun to bear the image of Christ? Cain wandered east of Eden, but the way back was never closed. The same field that heard a brother's cry now hears the Father call. The blood that once cried for vengeance now sings a new song because the Lamb has overcome. His blood speaks a better word. Lamech boasted of 77-fold vengeance, but Jesus taught 77-fold forgiveness, swallowing the cycle of violence in his own flesh. The stone that Cain lifted in fury was rolled away from the tomb of Jesus, declaring that death no longer has the final word. Come to me, you who are weary and burdened. I will give you rest. The mark of mercy is for all who will receive it. The stylus waits. Write not your name beside Lamech's, but let the Lamb's book of life receive your own. The stone is optional. Grace is free. The field is quiet now. The smoke has long since faded from the altars, but the question hangs in the air like an eternal breath. Yet, from the very soil that soaked in Abel's blood, a fragile flower pushes through the cracked earth, a stubborn sign that death does not win. A lamb stands where Abel's lamb once bled, and this lamb's blood does not cry for vengeance but for mercy. On a hill outside Jerusalem, the true brother became the keeper of every lost soul, taking the stone that should have crushed us. Cain still wanders under the moon, a living warning that a heart left untended becomes a wilderness. But the hand that once marked Cain now reaches toward you, not with fire, but with healing. The door of grace is open. Look in the mirror one last time. Do you see the wanderer or the beloved? The image is not yet fixed. Before the field, there were two boys playing. Innocence is not merely lost, it is redeemable. The stone tablet still waits. The stylus trembles in your hand. The story of the world hangs on your choice. Where is your brother? The answer is no longer Cain's alone. It is yours to write with every breath. The field is silent, but not empty. Every step taken here leads either toward the stone or toward the cross. From the blood-soaked ground, a flower has risen, a testimony that the curse is not the final word. The Lamb looks at you now, not with accusation, but with an invitation. His blood speaks a better word. The hill is empty now. The stone is rolled away. The true brother has conquered the grave. The ancient tablet now bears a cross, carved by mercy. The story is complete, yet a line remains for you. Look one final time. The image in the mirror is not fixed. Whose reflection will you carry forward? The hand that marked Cain now rests on your shoulder, a seal of mercy, a promise of a new name. Cain wanders still, but you are not him. The moon gives way to dawn, and the path home is open. Remember the two boys playing before the field. Innocence is not only lost, it is found in the arms of the Father. The question echoes one last time. Where is your brother? The answer is no longer Cain's, it is yours.